Hey, good morning, guys and gals. In this particular video, we're going to get our folder structure ready for our X or M32 mixers. We're simply going to right mouse click on our desktop, say New Folder, and that's what I've created right here. That is my X32 mixer. Now, inside this folder, I've created 4 subfolders. We have the expansion card, the firmware, the manuals, and X32 edit. Now, inside the expansion card, as you can see, there's nothing there. But under firmware, we're going to make 3 subfolders. We need one for the expansion card, one for the mixer, and one for our stage boxes. Remember, this is for firmware. Under the manuals, the same thing. We have the quick start guides for our expansion cards. We have the mixer PDF manuals and the stage box manuals that we're going to be using, if any. And we're going to go to one location in order to get this. We're not going to go to the Behringer download page. We're going to go to the Behringer products page. So let's go ahead and head there, and let's grab the files that we need. So now that we're on Behringer.com, we're simply going to come up to products and go down and hover over the product series. And in this particular case, we're going to say the X32. Once we get to this page, over here under the product library, this software is for anything associated with the X32 mixers or the stage boxes, and we don't want that. Here we can actually go and pick out our individual files that we need. Here we have our stage boxes listed. We've got the XMATI card here, the expansion card. And then we've got the ADAT card, the Dante, and the X Live. Then we've got our mixers, our regular USB expansion card. This is what normally comes stock with the mixers. And we're going to be dealing with the rack, so we're going to go over to the second page, and we're simply going to click on the X32 rack. You're going to do the same thing for whatever mixer that you're using, and we're going to reduce our options over here under the product library just for what we're going to use here. So here we are at the rack, and if I go to the software now, then we can see everything we have available. We have the release notes, we have the firmware versions, the live sessions. This is something Behringer tried to do, really hasn't worked out that well for him yet. Then you've got your X Live Windows drivers, you've got your USB drivers, and you got your X32 edit for all the different versions that we have here. So I'm just going to come through here and start downloading these files that I'm going to be needing. And when I click on it, I'm going to agree to the terms and click on download. And as you can see up there, that's what it's doing. Here we have the firmware version. We're going to agree to that. We're going to come down to the X Live Windows driver because I am using a Windows computer. I will need that. And I'm going to pick the most recent, which is the 4.59 instead of the 4.11. And that is under our software, guys. Now, under the documentation, here we've got the manual in English. I'm going to go ahead and open this and then download it. Now, guys, just so you know, as you can see this up here, I've got this, and I set this up on my computer. All my downloads go straight to my desktop. Now, we're going to go back to the products series page, X32. And I'm going to do the same thing now for my S16. There's the firmware version 2.7. And as you can see, all these are coming in a zip folder except for the documentation. We're going to say the quick start guide, all languages. And there we go. That's what we're looking for. And we're going to download this manual as well. Okay. And at this point, guys, that's pretty well it. We've downloaded everything that we need. And you don't have to do this right off the bat, but you do need to be aware of this process. Now, the second thing we're going to look at while we're online here is our thumb drive requirements. There's quite a few things we need to point out about your thumb drive. When I started using the X32s, I've always used ScanDisk, but I'm showing you the 32 gig USB. And when I bought mine, they are 4 gigs. I've never had an issue. We get so many questions in the community on YouTube. Hey man, I got my thumb drive. I loaded my music to it. I'm trying to play it through break. It's not playing for me. And there's a reason for that. Normally, it always comes down to the same issue. But we're going to discuss that in future videos. But with the ScanDisk Cruiser Glide, they're very inexpensive. And this is what I use, so I can highly recommend them. At this point, we're going to go down and we're going to put our files that we just downloaded in their proper folders. We're going to unzip them, and then we're going to format our thumb drive that you're looking at now. Now, you can use any method that you want. This is simply the way that I do it. I'm going to select every one of these files that we just downloaded. I'm going to right mouse click them and I'm going to cut them. I'm going to come over here to X32 Mixer folder and I'm going to paste them. When I open this folder, we have our expansion cards, our firmware, our manuals, and our X32 edit. So I'm just going to drag these into the manual. Here is the X32 firmware, so we're going to drop this in firmware. And then we've got the X32 edit for the PC. We've got the Behringer firmware, the S16. And then we've got the Behringer X Live driver. So I'm going to move that up to the expansion card. This process is exactly the same for every one of these zip folders. In Windows, I'm simply going to come to the zip folder. I'm going to right mouse click it and I'm going to select extract all. I'm going to check this little box right here. It's simply going to open up this folder after it's been extracted. And now we have our X32 edit program. You have the release history here, which is a text document. And since I use Firefox to open up all my PDF documents, it's telling me that the release notes will be a Firefox PDF document. But this X32 edit program is so simple to use, you simply double click it. That opens up X32 edit on your computer. This is a very lightweight program, and it takes very little CPU to operate this. Now, at this point, I don't need this zip folder. With me, I'm simply going to delete it. And we're going to do this now for every single one of these zip folders that we had. So here with the stage box, I'm going to drop it in the stage box. With the firmware, I'm going to drop it into the mixer. We're now going to format our USB thumb drive. After inserting my thumb drive into my computer, I'm going to come down to my Windows File Explorer, and we're going to go find that thumb drive, and right there it is. It's my local disk E. When I bring this up, you'll see it's already got some information on there. What I'm going to do is right mouse click this drive and I'm going to say format. Here it's going to give me the information, the capacity, the file system, FAT32, which is default. We're going to leave all of this just like it is. Quick format, and we're going to say start. It's going to give us a warning that formatting this drive is going to erase all the data on it, and that's exactly what we want. Sometimes these drives will come with little programs. Sometimes they will come with password protection. We don't want any of that. We need access to the root folder of this thumb drive. We have now formatted that thumb drive on local disk E. We're going to say OK. And then we're going to say close. Now at this time, I'm going to take this entire folder that we made and I'm going to transfer it over to our thumb drive. So now it is simply a matter of right mouse clicking. and you can copy and paste this. You can drag and drop this. I'm simply going to copy and paste. So I copy the folder. I come back down to Windows Explorer. I come down to local disk E. I come inside of here and I click paste. Now this is very, very important. We're on our local disk E. The folder you see right now, X32 Mixer, is sitting in the root directory of this thumb drive. And anytime that we do an update, we've got to put that update in this area. In other words, we cannot open up the mixer, come down to the firmware. Here, I'm just going to go ahead and extract that real fast. Right here, that is our update file. It tells us in order for this update file to work with the X and M32 mixers, this file has to be on this local disk E root directory. So we're simply going to bring it and we're going to move it to local disk E. At this time, if we look at this now, we can see that this update is now sitting in the root directory of the local disk E. So now let's head on over to the mixer. At this point, I want to note that if you're going to be updating your expansion card, this is the exact same process. This is not the process you use to update your stage boxes. Okay? I'm simply going to put the thumb drive in now. I'm going to hold down on the USB button and I'm going to turn the rack on. If we've done this properly, then it's going to recognize that update file in the root folder and it's going to start its process. Once this light lights up, we're going to release this button. And what it just told me was that I'm already updated to the latest version. That's it. We are now finished with updating the firmware for our mixer. Now in our next video, we're going to actually go in and learn how to program our router before we even connect it between our X32 mixer and our computer. Take care, God bless, and we are out of here.